A lot of people ask these questions, and even I have some tension in my shoulders. Long story short, you have to know why you're so tense. I have a few reasons for you, probably. Maybe you're tense because you want to strike hard. You want to strike fast. These are the two main things you get tensed up. Another thing is you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get hit. You don't want to get struck. So that's another thing that make you tense. If you're not striking, but you're tense because you don't want to get hit. So that's another thing. So it's important for you to know why you're so tense. It's easy to say relax, and maybe when you get used to Kendo, the idea of, I can strike. A lot of training, of course, will make you relax. That's for sure. Another good way to relax your shoulders is you make yourself really tired really quickly. So you have to relax. That's one of the reasons why that sensei give you hard time. And I remember, I'm sure a lot of people went through this training method. The one thing you have to know is why you're so tense. And everyone has to go through a lot of kirikaishi, a lot of training. The reason is when you are not tired, physically you're not tired, you have excessive strength. And when you get tired, it doesn't matter how much you try, you can't have the strength. So your strike will go, oh man, like that. Now, your posture will be horrible, but you will learn how relaxed strike should be. You will learn that for sure. So you really have to go through, you have two choices. You have to go through very hard training, which may be necessary, but I know you don't want to, but probably you have to. One good example is that maybe if the main difference between sport and martial art is that sport you enjoy. When you get tired, you can quit, right? It's no longer enjoyable. You're tired, what's the point to push yourself? Now, if you're training as a pro, you have to power through some level, right? Because that's how you live. Now, martial arts, even if you're amateur, that is the challenge you have to go through for yourself. It's not for money or anything, for yourself. It's not for enjoyment. No, just to bring you to another level. And if you get physically tired and you don't think you can, you think, oh man, I can't move anymore. But there is some stage that you never knew you had. You can go to another level. You have to go through that, hard training to see that. A lot of people quit before that. I have seen so many people, my students, went through, and I give a hard training when they're ready. Some of them went through the hard training. I could see the moment they went to another level while training. Of course, you have to do it again maybe, but once you know the feeling, it stays in you. So that is the main reason why we train martial arts. It's a challenging yourself. So that is a big difference between sport and martial arts. But while you're doing it, it's not for fun. Maybe for some people, maybe for fun. But it's constant challenge to yourself. So that's why you have to go through hard training sometimes when you're ready. So that's why you have to constantly train so you don't get hurt. You will be ready for the hard training. Now, so that is how you relax. But because we are adults, yes, our body can handle so much, right? You might get severely hurt if you train that much. So one thing I really want you to know is that if you know you are tense, you can relax. And don't think that you are going to strike, in Kendo. If you think, oh, I'm going to strike, I'm going to beat others, you're gonna get tense. Okay? It's about you doing what you're supposed to do. He had a shiai, and in his mind, he was applying semi, but he failed to anticipate when the strike was coming, because he was focusing on looking for or creating an opportunity for those strike. And he said, I could get my opponent where I wanted, but there was a split second where he was faster and landing the strike on my man. Okay, so that happens to a lot of people. You have a plan. Okay, next time I want to strike his door. I'm going to strike his door, and then you're looking for the moment, but because you're looking, you're gonna get delayed. That slows you down. Now, how can you get rid of that? Of course, you have to train. It's experience. But another thing is, I just said, because you are trying to beat your opponent. Shift your perspective. I understand that Kendo we have a weapon in our hands that is called shinai, and we have 4 targets to strike. One is stabbing, and you aim to strike on those targets, right? Of course, you want to strike, but if that is focusing on you, I want to strike, right? I am looking for this opportunity to strike. Now, you are not thinking about your opponent. What is your opponent thinking? What does he want to do? You know what I mean? This is about conversation too. If you just focus on yourself when you talk to someone, friend or your girlfriend, boyfriend, your spouse, if you want to talk, not thinking about your other person who is listening, maybe they want to talk to you about something, as you just keep talking. I want to do this. I all eyes, and then you don't even know what they are thinking, right? So in Kendo, this is a perfect example. You are talking to your opponent, and of course you're working on something, right? Especially if you're working, you're developing your Kendo, developing yourself through Kendo. So you're working on something, and now if you go, this is one thing. You're working on something, you think about it, but in Jigeko or Shiai, Jigeko is a free sparring, and Shiai is a match. If you just think about I, and not thinking about what other people, your opponent is, what he wants to do, of course, we're not going to let it happen, because that means, we're going to get hit. But if you don't think about your opponent, how can you decide what you're going to do? So that is the main thing you guys have to focus on. I'm telling you this, but I'm telling myself about this too. Because oftentimes, I forget about that. I want to strike. I want to strike. I don't want to get hit, right? But that happens. That is the enemy, the very enemy we have to fight. I want to fight. I want to strike. I don't want to get hit. This feeling is the enemy we are fighting, actually. Your opponent is helping us to remove that. Okay? So I think if you shift your perspective like that, you're going to get relaxed because you no longer want to strike your opponent. You are doing your best. You relax. Yeah. And then, of course, breathing. If you don't breathe, you're going to get, you get tense. You go, and then all the shoulders come down. Try to, start breathing through your tummy like you do in Mokuso. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. And then when you go like that, in Mokuso we are quiet, but when you take Chudan, you go, yeah, and then that's the same thing. You're exhaling and exhaling, inhale, exhale, and then your shoulders go down, right? So if you can do that, and you can remove some tension, okay? And when you get nervous, you won't breathe. So keep breathing, yeah, and then keep breathing. As you get close, tension between you and your opponent will be built up. Right? It increases. Tension will increase. But if you get nervous or if you get tense, you will be slower than your opponent if your opponent is not at all tense, right? So you have to go, but at a certain point you don't want to say anything because when you go, yeah, that's the time you get hit. At a certain point you don't want to have ki. But again, think about what your opponent is thinking. Are you waiting for me to strike your man? What are you want to do? That's why this is important. This conversation is important. That's why sensei always say, your sensei, or probably you hear this a lot. This is conversation with Shinai. What are you going to do? If I do this, what are you going to do? Oh, you're coming back like this, okay. What about this? Okay, you're coming back this too. Oh, but it's not as strong as you're pushing me back here. Okay, when you train, you should have a plan. Okay, when you train, you have say Jigeko in the free sparring. I want to work on this today, so let's do it. So that's kind of a way to improve your kendo, right? And you focus on yourself. That's what training is for. But once you do a match, it's you're testing your skills, right? And your skills have to come automatically. And focus on your opponent and focus on what he or she wants to strike, okay? And your technique have to come automatically. That's why we train.